Good afternoon and welcome to your favorite program, The Polity, coming to you live from the services, television services of KAFTAN TV here in Abuja. I am Segun, Ojelade. Well, the rains are here and it is coming in torrents. Well, people say it rains cat and dog almost on daily basis in some parts of Nigeria. Do you know that when it's about to rain, some people in this part of this country panic? They live in uncertain times because of past experiences. There are communities in this country where flooding, the devastation of surface running water has dealt serious blows on lives, properties, and structures, pulling down bridges, demolishing houses, and washing away farmlands, increasing the misery of people. In 2012, the devastation was much. Many communities were flooded, and lives were lost, and crops equally lost. This year, the Hydrological Services Agency of Nigeria has been issuing repeated warnings that the rains are coming, and the rains have been coming, like we said, in torrents. According to predictions, July and September, 544 communities in 142 local government areas are predicted to be affected by flooding. For October, November, 484 communities in 56 local governments will be impacted. Communities that are at risk, or let me say states that are at risk: Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Gombe, Imo, Jigawa, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, Yobe, and Zamfara State. Wow, that's a huge lot. So how many states are now left that will probably not be affected by flooding? And this comes with great distress and devastation. So on the program today, we shall be talking the ravaging effects of flooding. Like people say, it is Nigeria is sitting on a ticking time bomb. So we have assembled experts in the various fields, especially hydrology. We shall be talking to the agency in charge of surface water in this country. We shall be talking of the Emergency Management Agency, NEMA. And then again, some communities that have seriously bore the brunt of flooding in the past. Welcome once again to the program, The Polity. Once again, I am Segun, Ojelade. Now, in the studio as we speak, I have an expert. Well, he's a pastor and a PhD holder. He is Dr. Femi Bejide. He is the Director of Operational Hydrology at the Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency. I welcome you to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. My other guests will join us in the course of the program. One of them will be joining from Lokoja. We're expecting him to call in via Zoom. Now, let's start the program with Dr. Bejide. Okay, let's talk about Nigeria's surface water first. People say that Nigeria is like a wasteful child. That we have so much water. What some countries are craving for, we have it in abundance, but we lack serious management of it. How huge is the water belly, the Nigerian water resources? How large? How huge?
Thank you very much for having me. First of all, I have to let our viewers know about the agency, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NISA, NIHSA. And NISA also, they have to know that, like you rightly said in your prologue, and the devastating effect of 2012, it was as a result of that the federal government created this agency.
Oh.
So we were created that same year, August 27. We have 15 years.
Wow.
So NISA is created by an Act of Parliament signed by Mr. President at that time to manage the water resources, both surface water and groundwater of Nigeria, in quantity and in quality. So our assignment is very, very critical. And since that time, we have been issuing what we call annual flood outlook, which every first quarter of the year, that serves as early warning. Our predictions, we have upgraded our predictions. Now is community-based since from this year, community-based. Before it's local government-based. This number of local governments, this number of states will be impacted, and our prediction is in highly probable, moderate probable. So, and this year we have gone into impact and community-based, even up to world level. We can tell you now that this particular community in this particular world will be impacted. This particular number of bridges, yes, this number of bridges or hospitals or schools or markets, the names, everything will tell you today this road, this is what will happen. So that when you are going through that road that very particular day or week, you have to be very careful and things like that. So we started that from this year, and we hope to improve. Courtesy of our new DG, Malam Umar Ibrahim Mohammed. Now, having said NISA, good, we do our work also summarily.
No, let's be systematic with this program. Let's start with my own question.
Okay. About
Nigeria being a wasteful child. We have water in abundance.
That's where I'm going.
Okay. Yeah.
So we do our work also in a nicer way. What that's supposed to mean? I mean in NIHSA.
Okay.
Good. Is as a result of this so much water that we have to now focus on these 5 major areas of our work, so that people will understand the critical role we play. Letter N, notation of every flood and drought-prone places of the country. As we call drought mapping, flood mapping. We identify it. Letter I, instrumentation and innovation for information. Every rivers, major rivers in Nigeria, we have our instrument there to measure water coming, water passing through at every point in time. Letter H, harmonious synergy with national and international organization, stakeholders, INGO, CSO, FBOs, NGOs, stakeholders. We have an harmonious synergy with them, even UNESCO, WMO, and so on and so forth. Letter S, sensitization. I just came back from Lagos and Southwest. We went on sensitization last week. It's simultaneous. Others also went to Kebbi, Kogi, all those hotspots for sensitization. And the final aspect of our work also is alert, which you are aware of and you have been hearing. We issue alert, flood alert, drought alerts. Having said that, too much water, people have to understand, why do we have so much water? you have to appreciate it hydrologically.
It's grace of God.
Exactly, I'm coming there. If you look at Nigeria, we have about two major rivers, fortunately, are transboundary rivers. What do you mean by transboundary rivers? That's rivers that comes from different countries before entering Nigeria. Like River Niger, the Niger passes through 12 countries.
To get here?
Yes, for Futajalan Island, Florida, and emptying in Nigeria.
Wow.
Good. Then River Benue also is a transboundary river coming from Cameroon Mountains and depositing also what? In Nigeria. Then looking at Nigeria, 925,000 square kilometer land mass and rain from God.
Wow.
Water. Sir, whether anybody likes it or not, Nigeria will be flooded. Water from the left, water from the right, water from above. Nigeria will be flooded. So this hydrological phenomenon is to be taken care of seriously. It's not man-made. It's just natural, the geographic position of Nigeria. So having said that, that's why we have so much water. But the problem also, the saddening part of it is that out of this much water coming in, one, devastating effects of it flooding. Then two, we are losing 80% of that water again down to the sea.
That's what we're saying.
That's the problem we have now. So that's why I want to make it so clear.
Yes.
I'm answering your question.
You're answering?
Yes.
But in fact, the discussion is getting interesting. Exactly that is where I'm going. I know that 80% of the water that we have in this country
lost also to the ocean, Atlantic Ocean.
Bad management.
Good.
But before you continue,
okay,
we'll take a short break, and we'll be right back. So. Yes, you're welcome back. The program, The Polity, continues. I'm being joined on Zoom by Honorable David Ina Ogbu. He is the former chairman of Ibaji local government area of Kogi State. If I remember in 2012 that we were talking about, Ibaji was one of the local government areas that was seriously impacted Honorable, are you okay? Honorable, if you are there, good afternoon.
Thank you, Mr. Ojelade.
Good to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I want you to just, for now, listen to the conversation in the studio. I want my guest in the studio to prepare the grounds for all that we shall be talking about on this program. I'll get back to you.
Thank you very much.
Now, Dr. Bejide, 80% of the water that comes from above and comes in from other countries onto our shores are wasted. But yet we have a problem of irrigating our farms. We equally have problem with dams, not enough dams, and then we have electricity problem, hydro. Why are we, if I can use the word again, why are we wasteful? Are we not using it? Instead of using this water, we allow it to pull down our buildings and wash away our farmlands.
Yes, well, I will not say we are wasteful, but rather I will look at it as that we are, one, maybe not proactive, and two, not also being slow in taking the right step at the right time. That's where we summarize it. Like I've said, so much water from the river Niger, Transboundary River, from River Benue, and also from above, the rain itself. So Nigeria must be flooded. So what should we do to mitigate the flooding since it's imminent? What we have to do, of course, 3 solutions generally. Structural solution, that is construction of buffer dams. That's number 1 at some strategic hydrological areas.
Like the one we have in Kashimbila.
Yes, but it has not seen the light of day. Present government say also they are trying to revive it. It's still at the drawing board. So I don't want to go to that story because it must have been done about 30 years back. So that's why when we talk about Lagdo Dam, I don't want to talk because we know, and even as far back as 3 decades ago, it's known that when that water is released, there should be a buffer dam to take the water.
Why won't you talk about Lagdo Dam? Because any time from now, Cameroon will open that dam.
Yes,
want to break.
It will, but we are already also we have an MOU.
Yes.
And a great synergy now. Like last year, 2 years ago, when they want to release, we are informed, and we also tell them the quantity to release per time, and they did just that last year. We were able to manage the River Benue river system perfectly.
Last year.
Most of the devastation last year and even this year up to now is just flooding, flash flooding from the rain. So, and that is also, the solution to that is just our drainages. Proper drainages with subnationals. I'm going to put it to their doorsteps. That is the states to take proactive steps to make sure they take this serious, these drainages and things like that. Then I will also put it also at the doorstep of the legislators. All of them, both state and federal, they have constituency, projects. What is bad in making flood mitigation your constituency projects? Construction of canals and things. I mean, so simple and it's not so much costly, but very effective to help your communities than giving them also all those machines and everything is good, but when flood comes, it would wipe them away. Okay. So it's good to pay attention to flooding. Then I also put it also on the federal government, the presidency. I've said so. Renew the agenda, like you said in your prologue. There is no agenda that can renew the hope of people in Nigeria, as far as Nigeria is concerned, than flood mitigation. Because flood affects 193 million people in Nigeria, about 3/4 of Nigerians affected by flood, and their hope is devastated. But when you take attention, pay attention to that, you have renewed their hope. You have renewed their hope. So, construction of buffer dams, drainages, constituency projects on flood mitigation. Then one more thing, dredging. Because our river system, the capacity, carrying capacity we call it, have been so much reduced, as much as 70% reduced.
River Niger is so strong.
Yes, yes. So because of sedimentation, we call it sediment transport, and also equally the dams. Not only that they are old, then the carrying capacity is very, very low also. So if it can be desilting for the dams, then dredging for the rivers, drainages, then construction of buffer dams, then we have a lot of water to channel for small hydropower to augment for our lack of electricity. There are also much power for irrigation to irrigate our farmlands.
Okay, I'll come to you because when you now begin to ask federal government to do this, state government to do that, because of flooding, people will tell you that even in America, they do experience flooding. So it's a natural problem. It's not anybody's is it natural? Just in a nutshell.
Yes, flooding, natural, yes. There's also man-made. Just like what is going on in Gaza, they say man-made famine. There's natural famine, there's man-made. Everything that's also man-made. That means what can be avoided. When you say US, you mentioned Canada, of course, there are flooding also occurring with their own system also well perfected, but yet still, of course, that's the effect of what we now call climate change. Climate change, yes, global warming. Excessive water coming more than predicted or expected.
I remember you did not mention that. In case of Nigeria, people say that the ocean is rising and then there is much water coming. So we don't have that kind of problem.
We have it. I just said that last week we just came back from Lagos. There is tidal wave, ocean surge, saline water intrusion. You know, coastal states anyway, not only Lagos, all coastal states, Lagos, Bayelsa, Ondo, to Delta, Ebonyi, all the coastal states. So they have that same problem. Of saline water intrusion. So that all the water there, even in sink boreholes, it's salty because the ocean water have been moving into the inland and things like that. So that's the problem there, is there also. And the waves also is moving. It's coming even at Bar Beach. Today, if you go now, Bar Beach of about 20 years ago, where Bar Beach was, it's not where it is, and they have pushed it. And the problem is that
coconut trees are
gone and things like that. But a time is coming. Maybe 20 years, 30 years, when it will come back, because to its natural state. That's in Europe and Asia now.
Water is receding, Abi?
No, not receding. Yes, coming back to its normal position again. They have pushed away for about 30 years. Now is so that's
why they say
Philippines
claiming land. You should watch it.
Exactly.
Okay. Like people in Lekki.
They are there, so we told them.
Okay. The program is the polity. We are moving on. My guest in Lokoja. Good afternoon once again, Mr. David in Ogu. Now, can you give us the experience from Kogi State on this problem of flooding that we are talking about? More so when you have you are in a confluence, a confluence state, or do we say Lokoja, the confluence town? What makes your own area very, very prone to flooding, and what has been done to ensure that this year is going to be different? I'm going to ask you about Ibaji in 2012 later.
Thank you for bringing up the Ibaji matter this year, 13 years after. It's an experience you would like to listen to, but never to be expected again. I'm glad I'm here. Thank you for inviting me on this program. The confluence state has a confluence experience. And if I take my clue from the lead speaker, water from the right, water from the left, water from above, and in our own case, possibly water from beneath has become the issue of the Kogi experience, the confluence state. In the course of its moving through the states and the countries, the Niger brings all its content and empty them in Kogi. The Benue also, its long journey makes a major at the confluence state and countless town of Lokoja. And at that point in time, you can imagine the surge, the attack, the affront, and what the flood and its consequences can be out here in Kogi State. The Kogi experience, others like you call the coastal state, could be better off because in their case, there is an outlet where the water quickly moves to and can leave their land for them. But Kogi harbors the whole volume of the water and becomes the dispensing point. Kogi becomes the distributing point, and it takes a long time. The retention of the water and this devastating effect is higher, more enduring, and last, and of course, the impact is more devastating on the land and its infrastructure, as the case might be, along the entire state. You will, I mean, if I still borrow from the expressions of the lead speaker in this matter, the flood in Kogi is trans-community. Every community, every household is host to flood in Kogi. Because if it does not affect your home, your farmland is gone. If your farmland is not on this road, factories, institutions, hospitals, schools, and all, as the case might be, are the targets and, of course, victims of flooding in Kogi State. However, like it is become, in 2012, it was, before you ask, we could term that as an emergency. But it has now almost become a natural phenomenon due to climate change over the years. And of course, every Nigerian, every citizen that has the responsibility to address the issue of flooding should, as a matter of fact, be prepared all the time. It is no longer a situation of just an emergency response circumstance. It is a situation of preparedness to address this natural issue. The rains must come, the flood must come, and they have to come. Any moment, as soon as the years turn around, the fear of flooding is the beginning of wisdom to the people of Kogi. The management of the emergency agencies in the state have all the time made it a daily routine to begin sensitization for people along the coastal lines, the flood-prone areas, to move early enough to avoid loss of life and other imminent danger that accompanies flooding.
Okay.
The Kogi State government, I am bold to say, does not take flooding matters and its attendant consequences for granted.
Okay.
This is the situation.
Honorable, let me allow you to take some rest. Let me allow you to sip some water. I'll come back to you in a short while.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, we will need to take a short break. We'll be right back.
world where information is vital to every individual. A platform where technology is a medium to pass information. You can always catch up on all information written in the newspapers, even without having one. Join us on The Press.
Reaching live from the Abuja studios.
On The Punch for this morning. The Blueprint newspaper, Nigerian Tribune this morning.
As we give you information and opinions about current events and topical issues on politics, business, sports, entertainment, weather forecasts, and lots more in the local city, across all states, and across all countries. Showing daily on StarTimes, channel 124, 9 a.m. West African time, only on KAFTAN TV. Stay connected with us.
That he said it is a reason why I will not do it. I pursue the federal government to pay us our damages.
YouTube, KAFTAN TV.
A very tricky one. And then the bottom line is this.
Website www.kaftan.tv.
Point is, the youth must come together. The pendulum can swing in your favor.
Instagram, KAFTAN_TV. KAFTAN TV. Imagine.
When we say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world, we're not just bragging, we know our onions in the world of broadcasting. One of our outlets to express ourselves to the world is our flagship program, Matters Arising. Join veteran broadcaster Looming and our crack team live.
And they gave us a high price, and we just say, Nigeria, we ready?
As I said earlier, the lyrics is up, talking about the old new national.
On KAFTAN TV, StarTimes channel 480 and 124, as well as NIGCOMSAT frequency 12518, symbol rate 29500. Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. live. You can join the conversation by calling this phone number 0802-993-8365. It's dramatic and insightful. Don't miss it. Please join us. When we say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world, we're not just bragging, we know our onions in the world of broadcasting. One of our outlets to express ourselves to the world is our flagship program, Matters Arising. Join veteran broadcaster Ruben Okala and our crack team live.
And they gave us a high price, and we just say, Nigeria, we ready?
As I said earlier, the lyrics is up, talking about the old new national.
On KAFTAN TV, StarTimes channel 480 and 124, as well as NIGCOMSAT frequency 12518, symbol rate 29500. Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. live. You can join the conversation by calling this phone number 0802-993-8365. It's dramatic and insightful. Don't miss it. Please join us. When we say on KAFTAN TV, imagine a beautiful world, we're not just bragging, we know our onions in the world of broadcasting. One of our outlets to express ourselves to the world is our flagship program, Matters Arising. Join veteran broadcaster Ruben Okala and our crack team live.
And they gave us a high price, and we just say, Nigeria, we ready?
As I said earlier, the lyrics is up, talking about the old new national.
On KAFTAN TV, StarTimes channel 480 and 124, as well as NIGCOMSAT frequency 12518, symbol rate 29500. Monday to Friday at 8 p.m. live. You can join the conversation by calling this phone number 0802-993-8365. It's dramatic and insightful. Don't miss it. Please join us.
While wrapping up the day, unwind with the reminiscence of the day's news from home and abroad with KAFTAN TV 7 p.m. news.
Good to have you join us on KAFTAN News at 7.
Nigerians are living in up to 5%. Are young people. We propose the Harmony Symphony.
It's good to have you join us.
The polity on KAFTAN TV. Today we're taking a look at flood predictions and how we can mitigate it through collective efforts. My guests are in the house. In fact, I'm being joined by another guest. He is an official of NEMA, National Emergency Management Agency. He is Mr. Zakari Abubakar. He is the head of the Abuja Operational Office of NEMA. I welcome you to the program.
Thank you very much, Segun. Yeah. Good afternoon, Doctor. Good afternoon, viewers.
Yes. And my guest, Honorable David Ogu, is still in Lokoja, join us on the program. Let me quickly ask you, what happened in 2012? We remember that the whole place was flooded, and government made arrangements that time, made some money available to communities so that they can relocate. We didn't hear anything about it. What actually happened, whether the people collected the money and refused to relocate, but we still know that many of them are still in their old houses, and as the rains are falling in torrents now, they are probably afraid that dangers are looming.
Thank you. 2012 was an emergency. Government made contingency plans to address in ad hoc manner what I'll call a ragtag arrangement to address issues as the case may be. It was a staccato. And so to say, there was no planned effective means of addressing flooding as at 2012. What you mentioned as government making money available was not money for long-term housing or shelter provision in the state. In fact, the federal government proposals never saw the light of day in Kogi. There are no structures, no funding facilities to provide shelter for any community whatsoever in Kogi. I was live on the ground in the Ibaji community, a chairman of that community. We had visitors, we had teams who came to do surveys and seeking to address the proposal to relocate people, create rescue sites, makeshift environments, so to say, for people to go. We had looked at lands where people can get up to. As soon as this flood receded, every other plan towards settlement and relocation went with it. It was as flash as the flood itself. It came with the incidence of the flood. And as soon as flood went, the people in those communities, beginning from Lokoja through the whole length of it, and terminating at the epicenter of flood in Nigeria, which is Ibaji local government, because all the waters from the Niger and Benue and surrounding rivers from Anambra and all the waters entered into Ibaji, 93% of the land in Ibaji local government was completely underwater. The whole community in that local government had to relocate to neighboring local government and states, in either local government, in Edo and Delta states, and some part of Enugu and Anambra state. That is it. That was what happened. Funds, so to say, like the Dangote fund that came, were relief funds to provide food, small food and shelter, relief materials for medication and settlement, and some part of it to renovate schools and hospitals that were devastated by the flood waters. I knew of some schools that were renovated from the funds from the government at that point in time. I can only say that in Kogi State, the Kogi State government at that point in time attempted and provided some houses they called the Wada Flood Housing Estate in Lokoja, which of course was
we will come back to you when the signals are better. Now, Dr. Bejide, how accurate are your predictions, or have they been since the beginning of this year? I know you have predictions for January, you have for February, like that. This is July. September. What are the predictions? don't forget, they say as unreliable as the weatherman in UK. How reliable are your predictions?
Yeah, thank you for our guest joining also, the co-guest, Waziri from NEMA. I told you at the initial that letter H is harmonious synergy. One of our stakeholders, main stakeholder is NIMET, Nigeria Meteorological Agency, and NEMA, National Emergency Management Authority. And we make sure that we take the rainfall prediction from NIMET. We have the models and the technical capacity to be able to model these things and work it out for 40 years predictions and look at it and different models that is available in the world for flood prediction to be able to come out with our prediction. And it is of international standard, and it has been rated as 77% accurate. And when we give this out at the first quarter of the year, like I said, NEMA is there. They are the first people that takes it religiously. We have been working perfectly together to start their own preparedness. So that's why I call those that document as early warning. Say to be forewarned, it will be forearmed.
Yes.
To everybody, to the local chief, to the youth leader, market women, to the youth, to the chairman, local government chairman, the governors. It's distributed nationwide, even to universities and things like that, to go through. And I've said that it is even much more easier from this year because it's impact-based. Before, NEMA tried this local government, but we are in this local governments. They have been passing through all those challenges over time, trying to surmount it. Yes.
Which community? Which
yes.
town?
So they don't know exactly, but they know these local governments. So they go on local government based, sensitization campaign and things like that. Good. But now we have gone further now to make it ward-based, community-based, that they can, the little resources they have, they can deploy it efficiently and things like that. Yes. So these are the synergy. Everybody has their part to play in this mitigation of flooding. And what happens last year and Mokwa and this year also, like I said, is flash flooding, excessive rainfall. And it would have been a problem if there had been that culture of proper drainages and things are not traditionally building in flood plains, which we have marked out and have told people these are flood plain. But if you don't listen and still remain there, so I think if flood comes and affects you, I don't know what the government have to say.
Okay.
Yes.
There is a proverb in Yoruba. It says the war that has been announced should not kill the leper.
Ogun agbotele ki n paro.
Ogun asotele ki paro. We've been singing it to everybody's ears that flood is coming, and it's even coming in your town, in your area. Move. Is it because people are not reached in terms of your message, the message of NEMA, the message of all the government apparatus are not reaching them, or that maybe there is nowhere for them to go? NEMA.
Thank you very much for this beautiful question. Once again, thank you for having me this afternoon. To answer your question correctly, the message is getting to them. Thank God for NIMET, a very strong collaboration with NIMET and NISA. As soon as the annual signal climate prediction is received, the National Hydrological Services Agency, which I have my colleague here, Dr. Bejide, analyze the prediction and come out the annual flood outlook, AFO. Based on the annual flood outlook, like you said, we already have information, not just the states that will be affected, not just the local government, but the community that will be flooded. And they didn't just stop there. They categorized these communities into high flood risk areas, moderate flood risk areas, and the low flood risk areas. Wow. We know those areas, those communities that will be highly impacted by flooding. And as soon as that message...
And it's been accurate.
Yeah, very, like you said, more than 77% of the prediction have actually worked positively. And as soon as we get this message, we start from the national level, what we call the stakeholders engagement at the national level, where all the critical stakeholders that have a role to play in flood disaster management are invited to a round table, sensitize them, share this prediction with them. What do we need to do to mitigate the impact of this flooding from the national level? We had that this year around March at national level. And that resulted in what we call the National Campaign on Flood Preparedness and Response 2025. As soon as we get that done at national level, we proceeded to the subnational level, to the states. We'll have similar engagement, calling stakeholders together. For me, I was part of the team that activated the response campaign in FCT and Kogi State. And what we did was to invite all the critical stakeholders that have mandate in flood management, that this is the message. This is the local government has been predicted to be impacted by flooding this year. This community is going to be affected by flooding. We should all have our hands on deck. Number one, to begin to see the structure that we can put in place, the strategies we need to activate to prevent the flooding for areas where we can prevent them. Because NEMA, as a disaster management agency, we are said with responsibility of number one, even prevent the disaster from happening. We don't want it to happen at all. And if it must happen, let's prepare so that we can actually handle the situation. And if peradventure the disaster occurs, in this situation we're talking about flooding, we should have some level of capacity that we can respond. And then, of course, also facilitate the recovery process for the communities that are impacted by this flooding. So at state level, we activated this preparedness and response campaign. All the critical stakeholders are invited, they were informed, they were sensitized that this is the message from NIMET and NISA, and we should come together as one big family to see how we can actually mitigate this impact of flooding. And we didn't stop there. We proceeded again to the local government level, where the local government emergency management, there's something called a local emergency management committee. Because in disaster, since disaster occurs, occurrence of disaster is local. If disaster happens here, this particular place, that is where response is expected. So it's based on that we have a structure from bottom to the top, from local emergency management committee to the National Emergency Management Agency. If disaster happens in a particular community, it is expected that at that level, the community should have some level of capacity where they can begin to provide some necessary support response to handle that situation. If they're overwhelmed, they escalate it to the local emergency management committee, who, if they get overwhelmed too, they escalate it to the state SEMA, what we call the State Emergency Management Agency. And of course, eventually, at the topmost level, we'll have the National Emergency Management Agency. So we've all done this. We started the sensitization from the national to the subnational state to the local government, and currently we are engaging the communities, especially the ones that have been identified based on the prediction that they will be flooded. We're already engaging them on daily basis. In fact, the process of sensitization is an ongoing thing. In fact, just a few days ago, where some of the communities around there, for FCT, Yaba, that is in Abaji Area Council, to sensitize them that please, your community is going to be flooded based on prediction.
Okay. And I never knew you have this kind of down-to-earth penetration when it comes to the alert system. But this year, we've had some cases of flooding. There was a devastation in Niger State. What's the name of that community?
Mokwa.
Community that was seriously flooded, and it became somewhat of a national embarrassment.
Yeah.
What failed? Is it sensitization that failed, Or is it prediction that was inaccurate? Or is it the response that was low? What failed? No.
Yeah, in as much as we have this prediction in place, what happened in Mokwa was very peculiar because the whole Mokwa location was not among those communities that have been predicted to be on the high flood risk areas. Yes. Prediction
failed?
No, it's not as if it failed. But what happened in Mokwa was as a result of what you call the flash flooding. Okay. Heavy rainfall, coupled with the fact that the channels, the drainages that are supposed to take this water away from the community were actually interfered, were compromised. Yeah. If you look at most of the drainages were blocked because the community, the residents of that community, didn't take cognizance of the need to clear the drainages. So you could see that many of the drainages there were blocked by refuse, and some of them were, sedimented. This process of sedimentation I'm talking about, that they need to actually deshield some of them, so that the water, no matter how heavy the rain is, we should are expected to have this drainage that will have channeled the water away from the community, and this issue of flooding wouldn't have taken place. Okay. So that's why we are saying that for those communities, they have a very critical role to play too. And in the process of our sensitization, we emphasize the need for them to also be very, very proactive in ensuring that drainages are cleared, are desilted, stop dumping refuse in the drainages and whatever.
Okay, we'll come to such issues. Let me ask our guest at the other end in Lokoja, especially about some of the things NEMA has said about engagement with all stakeholders in prevention and management of flooding. It says it comes from the national level to state, local government, and even to the community level. How come that we keep recording losses or damages when it comes to especially flash flood, or in the area like Kogi State, where we have huge river waters penetrating into communities? Is it the advice of NEMA or the engagement that the communities have with NEMA that are not adhered to, or was government at all levels, states and local, were just not proactive enough? Honorable. Okay. Maybe he's having challenges with his Zoom. We go on. Let me ask you, Dr. Ibaji, Dr. Bejide. Now, if predictions work, if it works, then what is our problem? From all that he has said, everybody was told that danger is coming. Why do we still allow it to meet us in the house?
Okay. Let me just take it from the Mokwa incidents. Okay. Mokwa, like you rightly said, of course, was not predicted as a highly probable, but it occurred. Why? Flash flooding? Yes, it was a flash flooding. What is flash flooding? Excess of rain. But with that, will it have caused that much devastation? It shouldn't have. But I'm telling you today again, if we have such a amount of rainfall, within the next 2-3 days, again, it will be flooded. Why? Because what causes that flood of Mokwa is because of the embankments. The railway embankments, the railway they built that passes through Mokwa, the embankments does not allow the water to flow how it flows naturally before that time. Is what causes. So, because when we have this discussion with the, what do you call it, at the House of Rep Committee on Water Resources, and everybody was there, and the hacks and all, even locals, the chief, everybody, they came, they were invited. We have to give them our own reports, because we went there also as an agency, and And that they all agree that that is it. Because that area has not been flooded for years, of course. And it has not been flooded because such amount of rain has not fallen. The railway has been built, the embankment is there. But because amount of water was not much. But now we have much rain. There is no way, because the embankment for the railway has blocked the channel where the water should have naturally flow and even water there, because many people, one of them have already farming there at that plain and also build houses over time. So, but when this much water comes now, the embankment will not allow the water to go, impound it like a dam. So it overflow.
If it is still there,
yeah,
and rain is still falling,
yeah,
it means that
it will be flooded again. And that's what I'm saying. It will be.
What should be done?
Yes, that's why as an agency, our DG, Umaru Ibrahim Mohammed, we have now written to 3 critical government agencies. One, Nigerian Railway Corporation. We have written to them now for partnership. Now, housing, because house collapse, and we also written to them, and also works, which we didn't do before, because we have seen that now, inciting now your railway now, you need an hydrological, data and information to be able to also give our input and guide. All is in national interest. So we are already collaborating. Then some railway that needed to be shifted a little bit now, everything is on drawing board now, rearrangement and things like that. Even siting of masts, siting of all these power stations also. Flood is, that's something about Shell. Shell have been in collaboration with us for almost 10 years. Because,
Shell Petroleum?
Yes, at Port Harcourt, River State. Yes. Because about 6 years ago, some of their stations submerged and heavy loss. So all this hydrological data is needed, is critical, is needed. You get your permit, you want to construct road, you didn't get hydrological data. You just go there. Of course, you didn't know the groundwater. That place, the groundwater is much. The ground cannot take much more water. So when we have rain, it cannot penetrate, it cannot sink. So it has to be flooded, and when it's weakened, you see the bridge collapsed. So that's what is causing all these things. And when a bridge, there's some bridge, there's some road critical. When it got the damage, it takes about 6 months, 1 year before it to be, so activities is impacted and things like that. So what can be done is what I've said. Not that they are not listening. If you watch from about 5 years till date, the effect of flooding has been reducing actually. But it's just because of that of last year, Borono. And now, Mokwa, that makes it look as if, maybe Nema, Nisa, all this, and Naima are not working, But it has been reducing, actually, drastically. But because of this flash flood, which is also better for us to open our eyes so that we'll be able to know what to do. The one of Lao Dam have also made us to know that these dams, pay attention to our dams. They are over 40 years and even they are insulted. Let us do something about it. That is it. Then the Mokwa, now this year also opened the eyes that all this railway we are constructing now, it's also having impact, in to play in making the place to be flooded. We have to get some hydrological data to look at the floodplain, to look at the structure we want to put, what will be the effect in the emergency of that. There is much water. What will it have a flow path?
I think it shouldn't be for the railway alone. It should be for all infrastructure.
And that's what we're saying.
Agency that is
building everything
should have a multi-sectoral approach to it. Have all stakeholders to sit down and talk about it before we begin to work.
The National Assembly is working on that because we want to repeal our bill to be able to add that any structure now that has to be erected, you come to NISA to collect hydrological data for that area. So to know how to put your structure, and maybe some areas you need to impart it very well. And so that in case of there is much water, it can still stand. Things like that is coming up gradually.
Nema, I learned our brother in Kogi is back. Honorable, are you there now? from some of the things that we have heard, it's like the communities themselves should take some blame. When government agencies say that this is a floodplain, try and move away. Why has it been difficult for some of our people to heed this warning? So repeatedly, you see some houses last year, they know the period of the year that the house will be inhabitable, and as soon as the water receded, they come back there. Why?
Thank you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly.
Thank you. You will get back to the nature of community settlement in Nigeria. Habitation is essentially determined by the economy and means of livelihood of a people. For riverine communities, you will know that life is aquatic life, and of course, fishery and water-related economy. And to ask such a person to move away is like asking him to stop eating. It's not as if what NIME predictions and all the sensitization and information dissemination does not get to the root. At the state level, a lot of stakeholders meetings are held. At the local government, the same information is taken down the line. But for someone who has to wait for his yam and rice farms to mature, and he has to live around there to dispel pests, birds and all who disturb his farming activities, it makes it a little difficult for him to run away from the water plane in the early stages. That is for rural communities like in Ibaji environment, for example, where I come from. For the city centers, like in Lokoja, the inhabitants of the river area, riverine, the waterfronts, most of the time also the economy and livelihood is dependent on that environment. So they hang on until most of the time it is late and they begin to suffer impacts. However, it's not as if the information are not getting and the people are reluctant in moving. But the fact is that they hang on to what keeps them alive for too long a time until impact begins to be adverse upon them in the course of flooding. Like you will recall, it's not as if this flooding comes overnight sometimes. It is gradual, it's sequential, it's programmed. The readings are here, the warnings are there. But let me take us back quickly. A lot of things that don't seem to have been discovered is happening. The bottom or the water levels are becoming very shallow. They're not as deep enough to contain water. And little waters from above and from beneath, from the two water rivers, over time, in a short while without notice, begin to spread and flooding becomes imminent.
Thank you very much.
The communities are aware.
Now let me still stay with you so that I can allow you to round off what you are saying. Now, Kogi State government, for instance, and indeed state governments generally, is the problem of flooding. Is it that overwhelming to them to the extent that every now and then we have to call on federal government to come and help us? What are the state government, especially Kogi State government, what are they doing to attend to this problem so that this year we've not had any bad story from Kogi this year, and may we not have? What are those structures in place now to ensure that 2012 will not happen again in Kogi?
Thank you. The Kogi State government has been very proactive. That we must give to the government. The collaboration with NewMap to create drainages and channels to water so that water can flow easily to prevent what you will find as a result of flash flooding is going on very well. I know that the collaboration with NewMap has been very, very cordial. And the government is not, yes, NewMap.
Yeah.
Now, within this frame, obviously, it's not as if flooding and controlling flooding and mitigating its impact is becoming a major challenge or overwhelming to the state government. But that, like I started, the volume of water that comes to Kogi will be 10 times what will come to other states on the other land, the states that are coming from the longer route of Niger. The convergence point is in Lokoja. Okay. And then Niger Benue also comes in. So the amount of communities that are impacted certainly becomes too many to handle at a given point in time for one state government to address. The subnational, the local government do not have capacity to address this. Okay. And the individual who live within this community.
The video is freezing, but we can hear you.
So.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think this is where I will have to sign you off, Honorable David. Okay, you're back.
I'm back.
Okay, quickly round up what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that the Kogi State government is addressing the issue within its capacity.
Okay.
The information dissemination, stakeholder sensitization, and of course, partnership with agencies that can assist in mitigation and control of flooding are like being effectively engaged. New map are being effectively engaged. Okay. At the community levels, the local governments and the people, traditional institutions are not resting on their own because nobody wants to lose lives to water and flooding. Besides, the communities in Kogi that are majorly impacted are their livelihood are tied to the water bodies around their communities. And so to disengage them every year in, year out is cumbersome, is challenging, is Herculean, and is troubling enough. Like you said earlier, what the federal government brought in the emergency situation in 2012 was simply relief, food and medical related relief materials. Platforms to bring about relocation that will be effective and have longer impact never existed. The Dangote Fund, for example, could not address housing. The fund from the federal government.
Okay, I must thank you, Honorable David Ina Ogu, former local government chairman, Ibaji local government area of Kogi State. Thank you very much for all the efforts you made to contribute on this program. Really appreciate your contribution. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. Now, what he said, since you were not hearing him, is that it is the volume of water that comes to Kogi, that it's because of the confluence, being a confluence state. And again, the people cannot move because their livelihood depends on their closeness to the water. It says that the Kogi State government is providing drainages so that what happened in previous years will not happen again, that the government is collaborating with New Map on the World Bank program to ensure that there are better amenities and infrastructure to mitigate the effects of flooding. We really thank him for what he has said on the program. Now, NEMA. People say that NEMA, when after flooding now, when there is much devastation, that's when NEMA will be carrying roofing sheets and planks and some rice and beans to people who don't really have a house anymore. There are no houses have been destroyed, no, that is cosmetic. What NEMA is doing is cosmetic. How will you react?
Mr. Segun, remember I just told you that NEMA is a very proactive agency. Number one, I told you, we try to even prevent the flooding from occurring. We do everything, we develop every strategy necessary to ensure that the flooding does not take place. This includes sensitization up to the community level, where we educate and encourage residents of those communities on better ways of dumping their refuse. They need to clean their drainages, to channel water back into the streams and the rivers. So, number one, we try to prevent. Two, we build the capacity of stakeholders of communities, vulnerable communities, to ensure that if this flooding takes place at that level, if this flooding occurs, they should have some minimal capacity to be able to respond. So we don't just wait until it happens before we go into. I just told you that as we speak, the sensitization is ongoing. We are moving from state to local government to community level, advocating to people that so community is going to be flooded. We're encouraging them to move. In fact, like in Koji, I'm happy you just talked to former chairman from Kogi. Yes. I was in Kogi last week where we have a team. In fact, in Kogi State now, there's emergency operation center where we'll have all the critical stakeholders on flood disaster management. Bring them together. NEMA presides over the meeting in that emergency operation center. And what we're doing is to sensitize residents, stakeholders, that so community will be flooded. And we're also encouraging them to move to safer, higher grounds. Specifically,
it's
I
obvious
that
many of them are not listening to your call to move.
No, like where I had the opportunity of also engaging the executive governor, His Excellency Alajisman Odudu, to tell him specifically on the situation, the preparedness status of the state, and the implication of people not moving. There was a particular community we visited as a team, that is with other critical stakeholders at Akolo. We met with the traditional leaders, some of these political councillors, ward leaders, and the rest. I will tell them, the state government told us that they have identified about 42 temporary shelters.
Okay.
Yeah, where these people will be accommodated. And we're encouraging them that, okay, now that we have about 42 shelters spread across the 21 local governments in the state, what is stopping you guys from moving? You understand? Because initially, at the point when we started this sensitization, some of them were like, where are we going to move to? But the state government has provided temporary shelter for them to move in. In fact, as I speak with you, those shelters have been made more habitable in terms of amenities, like provision of light, provision of water, so that these ones are no longer challenged. All you need to do is to start moving to those temporary shelter. In addition to that, the state government, in collaboration with the NEMA and other stakeholders too, we are already monitoring there's something they call hydrological scale that is mounted in a particular river. They call that river River Meme.
I know it.
I was there.
It's a scale.
Okay, yeah, it's a scale. As at last week, it was around 7.53. But based on because we have a platform, stakeholder platform, where everybody that has something to do with flood management is on that platform. So we're on the same field, on the same level of information. As at yesterday, it's on 7.63. And the state government has agreed that, okay, based on the previous experience, as soon as it gets to 8 on the dot, we'll start enforcing evacuation from those vulnerable communities to the temporary shelter.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. And as I speak with you, an evacuation plan has been forwarded from the critical stakeholder level to relevant authorities to see how we are going to implement this evacuation.
Okay, quickly on your part. When disaster strikes, what is the capacity of NEMA for rescue?
Like I said earlier, every disaster is local. Disaster will not just strike and NEMA start moving in. It's expected, considering the enormity of that disaster, the impact, the spread of that disaster, the local emergency management committee that operate at local government level should have some requisite skill and capacity to respond. But if it is beyond them, the state emergency management agency, state emergency management coordinate response at that level. That is by invite all the necessary critical stakeholders. Like this, we are talking of flooding now. NIWA, that is Nigeria Inland Waterways Authority. We have the Nigerian Navy, that is for Kogi. We have so many other. We have association of boat owners. We have this divers association. All of them will now be brought into the response structure to see how we can respond effectively. But at that level, NEMA will be coordinating and mobilize all the necessary resources to ensure that the research and rescue operation is seamless and successful.
Okay. Now, let me come back to you, Dr. Bejide. Nigeria has enormous amount of water, as we have said. Should it not be a time for us to start looking at ways to effectively, what is the word that you use there? Is it to kidnap the water or to
impound?
Embalm it. Yes, impound it. You know, we need smaller dams.
Yes.
In fact, there are some communities even in the southwest too that can have some small dams. Yeah. You know, apart from ensuring that we manage our water more effectively, we can even improve agriculture and fisheries.
Yes, like Mr. Waziri has rightly said, all stakeholders are working, and individuals also, like I said, have their role to play. Everybody has their role to play. Like you have said now, all these small earth dams, they are not so so costly. It's within the constituency projects, like I have earlier said. Instead of saying, okay, let me buy machines, let me buy, pots and cooking pots and things like that. Can be washed away, wheelbarrows. I mean, all this might be needed, like I've said, but first in first, there's a principle of first in first. All these things work secondarily in a place that is stable. But if that place is not stable, life is in danger. You attend to that one first. Channel, maybe a year, 2 years, your constituency project channel to that, and that's all. For the next 10 years, 20 years. Then all the ports and everything you are giving them, they'll be happy, they'll be alive using it, and then they'll be working. Yes. So that's the point we are talking here. So people will not leave, some people will not leave. Let me say it here again. No matter what NISA says, no matter what NEMA does, carry them there. They are not chained, they are not in prison. They will move back. And I will tell you why. Because of the economic situation of the country, it's so much hard that people prefer. Sometimes when I'm going with my official vehicle, sometimes the Hilux, because it's written on it, flood vulnerability studies. When people run after me and stopping me, there is flood here, there is flood, tell them, there is flood there, they should bring relief. I say I'm not named. I say I tell them you are all together. Tell them. Tell them. You see, now what they are after is the relief materials. Yes. Life I've lost it has been politicized. I have to say it here. Now the honorable also will talk. How many people died? Name a record. Say 2. They will say, the community itself will say 20. Because they want to, their representative also will blow it. Say, to the federal government, the NEMA should be sent out, then that you have released, but 500,000 of my community have been, it's not so. The community is going, all this is going on, they will take it as if it is correct. Irresponsible government, how can all these people be dying like this? It's not so. It's not as that was. It's not. This is an individual because they, and also chiefs and also communities, because they want all these relief materials that is not supposed to be sold. Wait for about 2 weeks after. This is what we have seen on the field. Those things will be sold again to other people. We see them in shops. These that are collected free. So these are personal, communal activities that people have engaged in because of maybe they want to say the socio-economic problem of the countries and things like that. So that's why it's become gradually like a lucrative business. Yes. Let water just come and they say, hey, they blow it up. But we are not ruling out the fact that still some places are not impacted. Yes. They are. Yes. Yes. But necessary precautions should be taken by individual. Government, local government will not come and clear the drainages in front of your house. Yes. Yes. Building on flood prone is not government. They have told you not to. So Kogi State.
Or even blocking
yes, Kogi drainages. State, Lagos State, Jigawa State, Bayelsa, Rivers. These are states that have taken this message so seriously and religiously, and they are doing a lot in their individual state being proactive. And I have to say this here, but there are many other states that are not. Towards the end of last year, based upon our recommendation, National Flood Committee, it said 3 billion should be given to states. 108 billion naira was released by the federal government, 3 billion each to each state. What has they used the money for? Let us see the structures that have been put in place. So, Borono, it has happened, allowed them. Federal government have come also, and many other spirited Nigerians and international community have donated. It's almost going to a year now. And something might happen again. If that amount of water happen again, it will be flooded, like I said in Moko again. What have been put in place? So enough of talk. Let us do the work. Talk now. So everybody has their part to play. I will analyze it again. The federal government, because of the amount of money involved, should build buffer dams to receive the water. We don't have much on River Niger, river system. River flooding, no. Because there are 3 dams there on that river. We have Shiroro Dam, we have Kanji Dam, we have Jeba Dam. Look at River Benue system. There's no dam. So that's why any little water from Lagdo Dam entering Nigeria causes problem. Kanjimla Dam that should have been built about 30 years ago is still trying to be on the drawing board. Then let us leave that and build smaller dams. Detention ponds.
There is one other dam in that axis, smaller to Kashimbila. I've forgotten the name.
Is it Tika?
Tiga Dam.
Tika
That
Dam.
is in Kano. Chalawa, all those ones.
Yes, all those small.
These are tributaries. They have I'm talking about the major river Benue. So dredge it. And we see all this excess water. We have submitted a report to the presidency. We can impound them and channel it back to Lake Chad.
That's the word I wanted to remember.
Okay, impound, yes. And channel it back to Lake Chad to recharge it.
Okay.
Instead of this transboundary and trans-basin water transfer from Central African Republic, that one will not see light of day because it's passing through about 7 countries. And there are these political differences and a lot of things, you know, and it takes so many years.
Many of them need it for their own security and agriculture too.
So let us look at internal, which the Vice President is interested in. We are trying to work on that, how to recharge Lake Chad within all this water coming into Nigeria. We're working on that. So if everybody take their part and begging again the legislators, federal and state, use your consensus project to be flood mitigation projects. Then we'll be on the safer side.
Nema, as we go on this program, probably Nigerians need assurance from agencies like yours that things will not be as it used to be anymore. That with some of the works that you are doing, this year is going to be better. You know, we are now in the middle of the rains.
Yeah, thank you very much. Based on the prediction again and the systems NEMA has activated so far from the national down to the community level, the response mechanism to flooding in 2025 is going to be more efficient in mitigating the impact of this flooding. Specifically, the fact that they will have information on those communities that are likely to be flooded this time around. And that's why we have, as we are going into the communities, we target those, as we go into local government areas, we are targeting those specific vulnerable communities and intensify and emphasize on the need for them to have this information, to have this message that they are going to be flooded. So now that they are equipped with this information, that their environment, their community is going to be flooded, they are also, like I said, the sensitization is ongoing. We're still engaging them, and they are getting prepared. They're already aware, and they're also doing 1, 2, 3 things to ensure that if the flooding eventually occurs, the impact will be minimized.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's quite reassuring that if the flooding occurs this year, the impact will be minimal. Well, it is on this very optimistic note that we would like to close the program for today. I must thank you, Dr. Bejide, for all that you have said on the program. In fact, you released so much information that has made this program far more enlightened than we envisaged. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. And then my brother from NEMA, thank you very much, Abubakar, for your comments too. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Pray that the Lord will make all our plans to come to fruition.
Thank you, Segun, for having me.
Well, until we come your way tomorrow with yet another edition of our program, The Polity, this is where we call it a day. I am Segun. Ojelade. Bye-bye.